back to my channel. I'm going to talk about three cases today, including the Zodiac. So this won't be a regular Zodcast because I'm going to talk about a couple of other cases. But please remember to subscribe, like, and hit the notification button so you don't miss any upcoming videos that I'll have out pretty soon. I'm also going to do a new one over on Subscribestar for the subscribers over there. A real deep breakdown into the relationship of Don Chaney and Arthur Lee Allen. So first, I wanted to touch on just kind of current events, current story, which of course is the Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito very tragic case where it's definitely looks like he killed his fiancee, Gabby Petito, up on I think it was the edge of the Grand Teton National Forest. And they were up on some kind of camping trip in a van that she rented. And they were filming YouTube videos, something like that. And some kind of fight broke out. There was some kind of indications that they were fighting along the way. And I think he probably just snapped and killed her. And it was determined after he had driven the van back to Florida, when they found her body there, I think it was determined she was strangled 3 weeks before he returned to Florida or something like that. Really tragic. Obviously these two had been dating a long time. They were engaged. But, obviously the most recent news is they found the remains of Brian Laundrie in Florida where he was from. And it was an area that was underwater, but I guess recently the water had dried out and they found his bones or whatever, and they did determine that that was him, and they found some of his belongings there. And there's all sorts of conspiracies involving his parents and all this kind of stuff, and that they knew about it ahead of time, and they kind of led the authorities in where to look. I think they probably did know where he was, so they probably did help out there. I just read where they're not planning on having a funeral for him because this is so bad, and they're probably, sick of the attention on them. But I think they were kind of doing the natural thing, trying to help him hide from the authorities. But he took his own life, I guess, from guilt from killing his fiancee Gabby. So this is just really, really tragic. But I don't believe in any conspiracies going on here. I believe that was his remains, and he just couldn't cope with what he did. I think he probably just snapped. She, traveling together like that, maybe just brought out something bad in him, and they were arguing, and he just gave in to his impulse and killed her. And with all the attention the media gave this story, it was very interesting. But this kind of thing seems to be happening all the time, especially with younger people like this. I don't, at that point in their lives, especially with him, you think he'd be working on a career or something. I know he was, or thought of himself as some kind of artist, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But just focused on a career, or he was engaged, so I know he still lived with his parents and with her, and I don't know why that they weren't out just trying to, educate themselves, or at least him planning to, have some sort of career to support his family. I don't know if his parents were so well off he just didn't have to work whatsoever, but I don't know how all these young people are able to just rent a van and go off for months at a time and film YouTube videos. I know I have a day job that I can't give up. I mean, I would love to do this stuff for a living, but definitely not there. And you definitely don't get rich selling indie books. So I hate to break that to a lot of people out there, especially. And I've sold quite a few, but definitely you don't make a living off of selling independently published books. You really don't. Very few authors really make enough money to make a living off of. So it really is a labor of love for a lot of people, including myself. I just love unsolved mysteries, and I love these cases. So just wanted to mention that. So going back to Brian and Gabby, I just think they were just this product of the parents supporting him and then being kind of spoiled, especially him, and just being kind of into himself. And when things don't go his way exactly, he probably hasn't had many disappointments in life. Just when something just isn't going exactly his way, or he's fighting with her, he just lost his cool and wound up killing her. I mean, there was something inside him that made him do it. And then even odder, if you did that and lost your cool and killed her, why wouldn't you just fess up to it, tell the authorities, hey, I lost my cool, we got in a bad fight, and I lost it. I know I'm going to be in trouble and probably do some jail time, but, what does this guy do? He drives the van all the way back from Wyoming to Florida, and doesn't even help him go find where her body was. They had to find it on their own. So, what's wrong with this guy? I mean, he's definitely got some definite hang-ups going on. And one of the things that kind of gives a little insight to what may have been going on with Brian Laundrie was that he was some form of artist and he did some really creepy artwork. And this was a quote I found on the internet where they were talking about his artwork, and it says, "Many people translate bad feelings into violent motifs. Then there can be people in the throes of various mental illnesses that can be kind of bombarded with violent images that are representations of how they feel inside." Laundrie shared numerous art pieces that featured blood, knives, and violence to social media. And those are all over his Instagram page, which is still up, by the way. I went and looked at it, and here's another a quote from that same article. It says, "Dr. Gerling was featured on Showtime's documentary series Couples Therapy earlier this year, where she worked with various couples in their troubled relationships. She added, many people translate difficult feelings that they have inside to violent images." And it's definitely apparent with his Instagram page still up that Brian Laundrie was absolutely into violent images. So that wouldn't have been a good thing. I mean, if my daughter was dating a guy that was doing artwork like that, I would have a serious problem with it. I don't know how much her parents knew what he was doing, but it's pretty disturbing. Here's one of the ones that he did, just digital art here with this demon-looking guy with this kind of machete knife in his hand, and it looks like this old school telephone. And I saw that in another one of Brian's artwork pieces, if you want to call it that. And then there's like these flames at the bottom, but I don't know what the deal is with the telephone. But that's pretty creepy. And there's another one that Brian Laundrie did. It looks like some kind of animal head on this guy. He's got a bloody knife, and again, the what looks like an old telephone. There's blood on this pants, and then there's these creepy, violent-looking characters wearing these animal masks and knives and guns. Really violent and weird. I mean, it's well done. I mean, it looks like he has some artistic ability, but he's doing some really creepy stuff. And I know not everybody that paints or draws violent images or things like that is going to be a killer, but it's definitely disturbing. And some people have called these demonic, and I haven't, there's nothing really overtly demonic, but it's close enough. And then you see this one here of Krusty the Clown, of course, from The Simpsons. And this is from Laundrie's Instagram page, and it says, "Bizarre design." It says, "A very holy Krusty to go with my holy Zodaberg. Any ideas for a holy trinity?" So he's bringing religion into this. Obviously, this is some kind of religious figure he's turning Krusty into. It's got a Star of David on it over some skeleton bones or something. It's just that's creepy. If he's bringing religion into it, it is getting into a satanic element, if you ask me. Just strange stuff. I mean, this guy was into some weird things, no doubt. So, just something I thought was interesting about Brian Laundrie that I didn't know, and I haven't followed this case as close as many others. Probably a lot of you out there know it better than I do, but I didn't know about his artwork, and it's definitely, I think, is gonna be found to be part of what he did. Just had those feelings inside him. I mean, it's just really creepy. And then he did this one that people, I believe, was him drawing a picture of his fiancee, Gabby Petito, and he wrote this with this image. He put, "From the inner workings of my mind, not now, I'm busy sleeping." And then he wrote, "You were like a dream." And people on the internet, I guess, thought that was some kind of foretelling that he was going to wind up killing Gabby, and maybe he contemplated it before he actually did it. I don't know. That's just what they're saying, but really creepy stuff. There's a picture of Brian Laundrie taken in Los Angeles where he was going out there talking about the people doing various artwork and stuff, and he's got his picture taken here in front of this weird looking image on a building. But the whole thing's really creepy, but that's just something that I thought was interesting. And now I want to move on talking about a case that I know very well. I consider myself an expert at this case. And not the world's top expert. I'm going to give that to a guy named Tony Doug Wright, because he is definitely into the Yuba County 5, and I appreciate everything that Tony shared with me. He's going to be writing a really extensive book about the case. It'll come out at some point, but it's going to be really detailed. I'm the first person that ever published a book about the Yuba County 5, so I do know it well. I was able to find out some things that people never knew about the case. Didn't try to solve it. I just wanted to get all the facts out there, but there's definitely more coming out, and people are still covering it. I've got a documentary coming out about it that I'm working on with some people, and a really big podcast is coming out, I think in January, that a group out of Austin, Texas is doing, a really professional podcast. But here, for people who don't know that story, if you're watching this, and I know people that have read my book know it pretty well, but 5 guys went missing in 1978. 4 of them had intellectual disabilities. One of them had schizophrenia. That was Gary Mathias. He's the guy shown at the bottom right. Somebody else put this collage together, but they obviously did it from my book because I'm the first person to publish that picture of Gary Mathias on the bottom right. Now it's everywhere, but that's okay because I've been known to screenshot a few things in my day. But they definitely got it from me. But here's a picture of all the guys. You have Jackie Hewitt at the top left. You have Ted Weir in the middle at the top. Bill Sterling at the top right. Uh, Jack Madruga, bottom left, and of course Gary we just talked about. So yeah, these are the guys that went missing in Yuba County, California, 1978, when they went up to see a basketball game in Chico, California. But if you want to know more about that case, I highly recommend going to watch the video called "The Boys from Yuba City." It's fascinating. This is called the Outlaw Pass incident, of course referring to the Russian hikers that went missing in the late 1950s. There's a lot of similarities between the two cases, so if you haven't heard of it yet, go check that out, or go check out my book, even better. But great case. I did a video on it as well that kind of goes into the background if you check my channel, and I'll add this to the playlist. But somebody had done a upload recently on this case because lots of podcasts put it out and cover this story because it's so interesting, and channel put it out recently, and they were really trying to point the finger at Gary Mathias for being the person that did in his friends. And four of these guys were found deceased. Ted Weir was found dead in a Forest Service trailer. People that know this case already know that. He was found where he lived for weeks in a Forest Service trailer. The other three of the other guys were, they found their bones on the floor of the forest in the Plumas National Forest. They died of hypothermia. And fairly straightforward. Of course, Gary Mathias was never found. But one of the things I found lately, and actually somebody got this to Tony Doug Wright, and he showed it to me, and I'm just going to score a screenshot from this because people that are into Yuba County 5 have definitely never seen this. That's an actual photo from a film of the Forest Service trailer that they found Ted Weir's body in, and that has never been published, not even in my book. And this was from a film clip from one of the TV news shows at the time back in the 70s. So no one's ever seen this other than if you watched that TV at the time, if you were from the area. But it's the property of the Center for Sacramento History that somebody I'm doing a podcast with was able to get. And there's a bunch of film from this that people have never seen, which is great. But seeing the actual trailer, it was stunning to me. And that's a picture of it there. Nobody that else has ever covered this story has got that. And you're seeing it now if you're really into this case like I am. And there's an identical trailer just in front of it. And that bottom part you see there with the trash and stuff is like a little landing you walked up to. But through that door was the actual Forest Service trailer in the Plumas National Forest at the Daniels Inc. campground where Ted Weir's decaying dead body was found months after these boys mysteriously disappeared in 1978. So that is an amazing find right there. It's never been seen by the mass public, what that actual trailer looked like. So getting back to my point about that other video and pointing the finger towards Gary Mathias, just because he was never found, and the fact that he did have a violent history. Gary was a schizophrenic. He was taking his medication. I think this video tried to imply that he was off his medication, which is not true because Gary's stepfather, Bob Klomp, gave him that medication every day. And he was really steady on it. By all accounts, he was steady on that medication for about 2 years before he went missing. Like I said, Gary had a violent past. It was an attempted rape of his cousin's wife. He'd been in many barroom brawls. He hit a police officer. Never murdered anyone, but he did have a violent past, and he could get really weird if he was off of his schizophrenia medication. But by all accounts, he was very stable on that medication at the time he went missing. So I do not think Gary Mathias was directly responsible for the death of his four friends. I will say that the other four, the ones that had intellectual disabilities, were a little afraid of Gary, but who wouldn't be? I mean, these guys were known as the boys because they were very sweet, innocent, and they had learning disabilities. But do not believe that Gary Mathias planned to kill his friends or set out to kill his friends. Maybe he made a bad decision that could have led to that, but I do not think that he set out to kill his friends or had some psychotic episode and decided to do it. I just don't believe it. And some things that would point against it are the fact that Ted Weir, whose body was found deceased in that Forest Service trailer, it was determined that he lived somewhere from 8 to 10 weeks after they went missing in that trailer. So someone had to have been taking care of them. There were some sea rations found in the trailers. People know the story, know. So that probably was not Jackie Hewitt. And the police believed that three of the boys made it to the trailer, which was Gary Mathias, Jackie Hewitt, and as we know, Ted Weir, because his body was found there. Of course, Ted's shoes were found missing, and they surmised that maybe Gary put his sturdier leather shoes on and just kind of head out into the wilderness and maybe died further away. That's why they never found him. But somebody took care of Ted for a long time. They also believed that Bill Sterling and Jack Madruga never even made it to the trailer. They died of hypothermia from the cold that night before even getting to the trailer. So there's no really any evidence whatsoever of Gary just setting out to kill his friends, either in a psychotic episode or a planned event. It's just not there. I just don't believe it. And like I said, by all accounts, he was on his medication. So for people that follow Yuba County 5, I just wanted to state that. That's my opinion on it. And like I said, I know this case really well. And I think Tony would agree with me, who knows this case even better than I do, that Gary was not directly responsible for the death of his four friends. So now I want to move into Zod mode, of course. And this is not an official Zodcast, like I said, but I wanted to do some Zodiac stuff. And this was put on Reddit by someone going under the moniker Such Bad Handling. And I actually know who did this, and I haven't heard from this person in a while, but we used to correspond quite a bit. But they're obviously a big fan of my theory about Don Chaney, and they put these images together on Reddit. I thought it was really cool how this was done. And with this is the Zodiac speaking at the top and the Zodiac font, really cool. And then he's got all these pictures of Don Chaney, of course, the his Air Force photo, the two pictures from the Cal Poly Pomona yearbook, and then some of the later pictures there below it, and then of course one from his name was Arthur Lee Allen. He's got two of the Zodiac's pencil compared to the word victim from the letter Chaney wrote to Tom Voight. And then I love this at the top. He's got a picture of Don Chaney's mother. Of course, there's Dortha Fryer for Friday night. Then he's got Frank Paradise right there, which is cool. And Tony Dinelli, who does a lot of research with me, he thinks that Chaney might have actually known Paradise or a whole lot more about him, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. I said that'd be stunning to be able to prove. I think Chaney was like 19 or 20 when Paradise passed away. Of course, they were related by marriage with Mary Martha Ingersoll Paradise being Don Chaney's paternal grandfather's first cousin. So I thought that was really cool that, you know, who I'm talking about put that together over on Reddit. It's really cool. Good work. And then I want to read this comment that I read this kind of late. I was traveling for work, but this lady that wrote this to me, she said, because I mentioned the people that are doing these videos about Arthur Lee Allen who knew him from the early 60s. I referred to them as the kids because they were kids at the time, and that's I've talked about these videos with Tony a lot, and we just refer to them together as the kids. I never called them the Zodiac kids, by the way, and you'll see that when I read her message. But it says, just FYI, Mr. Beeson, the stories about ALA by who you were calling the Zodiac kids are true to the best recollection of, in quotes, the kids. I know because they are my mom and uncles, so she's related to them. And I have been hearing these stories about Mr. Allen since I was a kid, and I'm 51 now. I'm 51 too. And long before we as a family considered that ALA being Zodiac could even be true. Also, my family has no contact with Graysmith. I mean, if I threw that out there, you know, I was being somewhat facetious, but if you watch these videos, and it's called, I think it's called We Called Him Mr. Allen, about Arthur Lee Allen. I know most people following Zodiac have seen these videos. These the Seawaters put up. I think that's their name. Their names are Seawaters. I think it's two brothers and a sister, and they're very interesting. They got a video of Arthur Lee Allen that they had of them from 1963, and I talked about that a little bit, and that actually kind of hurts their case a little bit for Arthur Lee Allen being the Zodiac, because he looks really overweight in 1963 with the first crime happening at Lake Herman Road in 68, because no one saw anyone that big. They just didn't, and he was big by their video evidence in 63. I mean, maybe he lost weight before Lake Herman Road, but that really didn't hurt their case, and I thought that was the coolest thing they had was actual video of Arthur Lee Allen from the early 60s. So what I thought about the videos were they're really trying hard to implicate Arthur Lee Allen is the Zodiac, and that's great for me because if you could narrow it to Arthur Lee Allen, well, you're down to Allen and Cheney because Cheney knew him well and was hanging around him at least at the beginning of the crime. So it's not like and I'd say the best piece of evidence you have for Arthur Lee Allen outside of the wristwatch is the fact that he was known to misspell words for comedic effect, just like the Zodiac. So if I'm a fan of a lone Arthur Lee Allen, just say Don Chaney's telling the truth and he's otherwise just a swell guy, I'm going to go with my lead thing for Allen is look, he misspelled words for comedic effect. This was known before the first Zodiac letters and correspondences came out. I would hang my hat on that because that's extremely rare. How many people have you ever known in your life misspelled words for comedic effect, like Arthur Lee Allen was known to do before and after the crime? So yes, there's a lot of things going there. Obviously, if you're going to try to pin it on Allen or some of it on Allen, like I believe Cheney did, you would have known that Arthur Lee Allen did that. So you're just throwing some stuff out there. But as far as what I'm calling the kids from these videos, they're trying really hard to pin it on Allen. They claim that they were waiting in the car when in 1963 during the Gaviota Beach murders of Linda Edwards and Bobby Dominguez. Of course, the couple that was murdered on the beach that some feel could be a Zodiac crime. I think of all the non-canonical Zodiac crimes, by the way, that one seems the most like Zodiac and could be. Way more than Riverside Sherry Joe Bates. I think the Gaviota Beach murders are most likely, if any of those are Zodiac, I believe that one is. But even on that one, I'm 50-50, but I think that one has the best chance. But they're saying they were in the car when he was out on the beach, and then later they talk about being at Riverside. I mean, it's like they jumped the shark. Sorry, I mean for me they jumped the shark when they did the Gaviota Beach one. One of the brothers was talking about being a student of Arthur Lee Allen, and he was, and how Arthur Lee Allen would go around and the kid, he'd always talk about the Mikado, and the kids would run around the room saying, "I am the Lord High Executioner," and stuff like that. That's never been vetted out. I mean, with all the students that Arthur Lee Allen had, there's just no one to corroborate that. And like I said, that would only help me in my case with Cheney, but I just don't believe it happened. I don't. None of Arthur Lee Allen's friends ever said he was interested in the Mikado. Even Cheney. Cheney says he liked stuff like that at the time, but never knew that about Allen. Uh, Glenn Reinhardt was Arthur Lee Allen's best friend. No one disputes that. No one was closer friends to Arthur Lee Allen than Glenn Reinhardt. That's just truth. And he never said anything about that. Glenn Reinhardt thought that Arthur Lee Allen was 100% innocent of anything. So no one ever said that. Not Phil Tucker. No one ever pointed to Arthur Lee Allen being into the Mikado. There's just nothing to hold that up. There was another lady that was a student that claimed that Allen would get exasperated and say, "Tit Willow, Tit Willow, Tit Willow," of course, from the Mikado. And her credibility didn't hold up at all. And I even wrote about that in my book. So when I heard the thing about the kids going around saying I'm the Lord High Executioner, which of course is from the Mikado, I don't believe it. Sorry, that's just my opinion. I would love to see that substantiated. If you could prove that, man, you would be close to game set match with either Allen or Cheney or someone that had to have known Allen if he's quoting the Mikado while he taught at Valley Springs or anywhere for that matter where he taught. If he ever did that before the Zodiac ever quoted the Mikado, so that's far fetched. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion of it. I'm not trying to call anyone liars. They definitely knew Arthur Lee Allen, and it's very interesting. But I would have to see at least 5 other students come forward and say, "Yeah, everybody knew it. He quoted the Mikado all the time. This really happened." I'm just saying the evidence for that is thin, and I like to be accurate. And if I say something about Don Cheney, I can back it up. If I tell you that his grandfather's first cousin had the last name Paradise, I can back it up 100%. It's in census records. It's Find a Grave. It's been there years before I even got into this case. So I can back it up, but I don't think anyone can back up the kids of Arthur Lee Allen in his class going around saying I'm the Lord High Executioner. Sorry, that's just where I'm at. But they are interesting, and they knew the guy. So any insight into Allen is fascinating because I think he did have a good part in these crimes. I just believe Don Cheney is the mastermind. Number one, no one ever knew Arthur Lee Allen to have that kind of propensity towards mathematics, which we know now the Zodiac had to have had, especially after the guys broke the 340 cipher. I just believe that the Zodiac had mathematical skills with the radians, and that's the part of the Michael Cole theory I like about how he would draw the radian off of Mount Diablo and set up the crime that way using the death wheel of Tim Holt. And we know that Tim Holt visited Don Chaney's high school, specifically speaking to the Boy Scouts, which that was his high school at the time and was a Boy Scout. Just saying, all the Tim Holt stuff lines up with Chaney, not Allen. Just so much of it lines up far more with Chaney as far as drafting, doing the ciphers, the mathematics that would have been involved. Arthur Lee Allen was not prone to mathematics. That's why he chose other careers like teaching, and then he was a junior chemist for a while. I think Arthur Lee Allen was plenty smart, but he just was not mathematically minded like Don Chaney was. As a mechanical engineer, he wasn't. You don't have that piece. You've got to have Don Chaney to have Arthur Lee Allen. And I know people that like Allen as a single Zodiac suspect. A lot of them like to just take Don Chaney at his word, and they can't do that because Chaney has lied so many times. His story's all over the place. Tony actually sent me some examples today of some more stuff he found where Chaney's inconsistent in his story that I'll do probably on Subscribestar, and then I'll put it on here. But his story just changed too many times. And then, of course, if you believe that Cheney's so credible, why did he wait till July of 1971 to report the fact that his friend told him he was going to go kill people? And Cheney himself said he told Arthur Lee Allen, hey, you better think long and hard before you go do this. Well, if he really thought that Arthur Lee Allen was that serious about it, why did he wait so long from his supposed date of January 1st? 1969. Why did he wait till July of 71 to come forward with this nonsense story about seeing something in the paper that triggered his memory? What a joke that is. Cheney just doesn't hold any weight. If Arthur Lee Allen ever did go to trial and Cheney was the main witness against him, a defense attorney for Arthur Lee Allen would tear Cheney apart. They would say, Mr. Cheney, why did your story change from New Year's Day 68 to 69? Why do you have more details now than you did then? As your memory's getting better as you get older. Cheney would be destroyed on the stand by a good defense attorney if Arthur Lee Allen had it. If that ever did go to trial and Cheney was the lead witness, he would be destroyed with how many times his story changed, even back then. And the first thing, what would the defense attorney for Allen say to Cheney? Why did you wait so long, sir? His credibility's right out the window right there. I don't care how many character witnesses Cheney had, he would be destroyed by a good defense attorney for Arthur Lee Allen. He would. I mean, why did you wait? That right there, he loses all credibility. So where I'm getting at is this thing only works when you have both guys. It does. Sorry for the people that believe that Arthur Lee Allen is the sole Zodiac and Cheney's telling the truth, because he lied too many times. Cheney has far more attributes to be the Zodiac killer than Arthur Lee Allen, as far as the person that, one, came up with it, two, acted out the murders. I mean, Arthur Lee Allen was left-handed. He was dominant left-handed. Talk about ambidextrous all damn day long. Doesn't mean anything. He's dominant left-handed. The attacker at Lake Berryessa came at Brian and Cecilia, stabbing them with his right hand. Glenn Reinhardt says that he was dominant left-handed. Don Chaney even admits that Arthur Lee Allen was dominant left-handed with the interview with Tom Voigt, because Don Chaney didn't want to give all the attributes to Arthur Lee Allen. Because why? Because he created this. Yes, I think Allen was involved, but Chaney is, if you have to be a person that says lone Zodiac, lone Zodiac, lone Zodiac, Don is your man, and Arthur Lee Allen is the light accomplice, you can call him. So sorry, there's too many things against Allen for being the attacker. One, going back to Lake Berryessa, is Arthur Lee Allen was totally bald, okay? Everybody knows this. That's no secret. So Brian and Cecilia saw brown hair coming through the eyelets of the Zodiac mask. And so if it was Arthur Lee Allen at Lake Berryessa doing the dirty work, then he was wearing a wig or toupee, which to me is insane. When you're going to attack two people and you're wearing a hood over it, that it could shift over your eyes when you're going to try to stab a guy who's 6'7" in Brian Hartnell. That just seems pretty damn risky to be wearing a wig with a hood over it. So there's a lot of problems if you want to believe that Arthur Lee Allen was the attacker. There's just too many. The left right hand, the wig. He was too obese to be the Zodiac. Just like Falk said at the Presidio when he saw a picture of Allen, he said the guy I saw was not near as big. So there's just a lot of things that work against Allen as the sole attacker. Yes, Allen had involvement. That's why so much of the circumstantial evidence against him still holds up, and why we're still talking about these two guys. So that's just wanted to get that out, and I'll talk about that more on the next upload. And here is a picture. Actually, yeah, this is Tony sent me this, and this is a building that was designed by Frank Paradise, which was related to Don Chaney by marriage. Uh, and in this building that Frank Paradise designed, there was a Mikado pool hall. So I thought that was pretty cool. There's actually a Mikado pool table, and I think there's some Mikado pool cues that are made by Brunswick. There's a Brunswick model Mikado pool table, and of course you have the line in the Zodiac letters, uh, twisted shoes and crooked cues, something like that. So I thought that was interesting. But there was a Mikado pool hall in this building that was designed by Frank Paradise. So good find, Tony. Keep them coming. And I want to read this one comment real quick from Kyle Milner again. This is a great comment from Kyle. It says, "It seems like ALA and Cheney were playing an elaborate game with the police. I know this is an assumption, but my instinct tells me that they were working closer than we might think. Just imagine the thrill of inserting yourself into your own case and fooling the police like they did. I'm not criminally insane, but I can imagine what that might be like. While Cheney was the real active Zodiac, Allen knew that he could even implicate himself and then calmly watch the police search his trailer. Consider why ALA would vehemently claim innocence while at the same time purposely create suspicion. Why wouldn't he just remove the Zodiac watch before he met police? He wore it knowing it would make police interested in him. Why tell police you had bloody knives in your trunk the day of Lake Berryessa? He goes on a little more in that, but this is a great point. I mean, he knew it was coming. Why was he? Why was Allen interviewed by John Lynch so soon after Lake Berryessa? And yes, why if Allen knew they were coming. That's why this was discussed with Cheney beforehand. It's clear to me. Just don't take my word for everything. Go find it. People are free to go do their own research, which I know people listening to this show do. But I've seen all these things lately. Oh, people get a suspect and they just get tunnel vision. All these guys can't be the Zodiac, Cheney, Gaikowski, Sullivan. The names go on. These new guys, Gary Post, Morph's new guy. People have the brain and ability to go check all this down. Determine for yourself how rare the name Paradise is and how odd that is that Don Cheney's grandfather has a first cousin with that rare last name, with that funky spelling. I can tell you, I looked through all the phone books during the times of the Zodiac crimes from the late 60s into the early 70s of all of the major city of San Francisco, and no one has that last name. There's one Paradise that has the correct spelling, but not the DICE spelling. So find for yourself how rare that is. And the just the odds of Paul Avery going to the same tiny junior college as Don Cheney, and then the Zodiac writing the Halloween card to his secret pal, obviously Paul Avery of the San Francisco Chronicle. So these things are just there. So if you can, go definitely check out this other video on YouTube called Zodiac Killer. Top 7 reasons Donald Lee Cheney is the Zodiac Killer. I think he's got like a computer voice on there, but it's actually kind of funny. Appreciate True Crime Oracle getting that up. I thought it was actually pretty good. So go over there, give it a like, give it a watch. And also go check out Ross's Planet X Film channel with an interview with Thomas Henry Horan. I also want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Baseball on Reddit. Good work.